Hey, gorgeous soul. Welcome to another juicy, joy filled episode of Live Your Best Life. I have been loving recording series 3 so far. We have had some absolutely just amazing guests. I have loved the way the conversations have played out. We start in one place and then something happens like really quite unexpected. So if you haven't caught any of them yet, or if you're still catching up with some, really make a date in your diary to go and have a listen. And if you're thinking about festival season next year, check out series 2 because I took you on a tour of all my favorite places that I have been hosting in over the summer. So if you want some insider intel to hear what it's all about and to see which ones are whetting your taste buds, then go have a listen. So today's episode is one where I'm going to share with you some quick ways for us to come back to joy, some quick hacks, because I think it's fair to say, and this has come up with all the conversations I've been having with the amazing people that I've had on the podcast so far, is we are living in very busy times, and many of us are feeling that real kind of push of lack of time, energy, and heads kind of expanding with all the things that we have to do, and that like never ending list where things just keep getting on and on and on, right? So I think that is something that is very real for many of us. So one, like recognizing that and acknowledging that is like super important. And two, like really, really getting clear about what is going to support your nervous system when feeling bombarded by stuff and time constraints and all the other things that might come into your being. So having like a quick toolkit, a quick guide, a quick way to come back is super, super important, and I think like this is a thing, we get so caught up in the stuff, we're always thinking about what's coming or maybe reflecting on what's been, and we like maybe neglect the here and now, the present moment. And it's in grounded presence, it's in our like connecting in and like feeling that like the here and now moments, that actually we get to like self-soothe, we get to bring ourselves back to a space of like like that ease, that grace that so often we are seeking. And I share this because I know many of us need a reminder, and I include myself in that for sure. When I find myself in that forward thinking energy, thinking about things that maybe I can't control or I don't know enough about yet, and where I'm just like maybe getting too involved about what the could be or the should be and all that stuff. The thing that helps me come home is like, oh, you know, like finding the gifts in the present day, like really understanding that like all we know is right now. So when we get really caught up in the what's going to be, it's such a waste of our energy. It's such a waste of resources. And I know that this can feel like a really easy thing to say and a less than easy thing to do, right? Like how many times do you catch yourself, even though you have some tools, hands up. I often do it, and it's coming back to that self compassion, you know, if we have been caught up with all the things and we're much more in the like living in the future instead of like living in that grounded present energy. Meet yourself with compassion, like be kind to yourself. You know, it's just part of our humanness, right? And as many of the guests have shared, you know, like everyone goes there and we go back there again and again and again. So meet yourself with love, meet yourself with self-compassion, and like give yourself permission to like course correct, to maybe change how your day is going. So if your day has maybe started a bit wonky and you're caught up in that very kind of head spinny energy where you can feel in your body that dysregulation, that kind of like the edgy energy, you know, like permission to pause and decide again and be okay with that version of you that maybe got too caught up in it, right? You know, it's yeah, it's just life. This is how life is, and we are always learning, right? And we're always evolving. So the biggest gift you can give yourself when you are caught up in living in the future, reflecting the past, and not getting into that like grounded presence is to ask yourself, you know, what is it that I need right now? And then see what the response is. You know, so often we ignore what our body is trying to tell us. You know, our body is full of messages for us all the time, but we can get so caught up in our headspace and so led by our headspace. Um, and that's where we can fall into catastrophizing, overthinking, comparison, like all the things, right? But actually, if we take a step back and a step away and drop in to our body, our heart space, into that grounded presence, then we get to reboot, we get to start again, we get to feel differently. So, the best thing you can do for yourself in moments like this is do the things that you know really support your body. So, maybe it's stillness. You know, I always share grounding breaths whenever I do client work. And actually, I often do it before I do something which, you know, I really need to like feel here, particularly if there's been a lot of stuff going on over there. So, you know, is stillness a space where you know, like that's a go-to for you for a really beautiful, energetic reset. So that can look different for different people. Maybe your stillness is getting like a hot drink and feeling the warmth of the mug in your hands and like noticing how still your body is and how it feels to just completely stop, to slow everything down. Maybe you're doing that, but it's outside because outside gives you life, right? But honestly, like that stillness, that pausing, like you'll know if that feels a great fit for you. And if it's something that feels really tricky, because maybe it's not a practice thing or whatever, maybe it's not like embodied, even if it feels a bit tricky, like try bringing in a little bit of stillness, even if it's just like 3 grounding breaths. And just notice, you know, always when I do that at the beginning of client sessions, always like clients, they shift from like up here, like shoulder high energy to, you know, just from a few breaths. So is stillness your jam? If it isn't, you know, how can you invite a bit more stillness in so you feel in that present moment? And by so doing, you know, you are allowing yourself to see. You know, so often we're so busy, we're not seeing, we're not noticing. And the more we notice, the more we feel grateful, the more joy we feel, and so on and so on. It just builds together. maybe movement is something that really lights you up. You know, if you used to love clubbing, raving back in the day, or if you know, like a tune comes on and your body starts to move, like movement is like your life force, right? But so often we pause it, we hold it for another time. So, can you just like put on a top tune that you know you love and like dance your little heart out to it? Perhaps sing to it as well. But like honestly, feeling into that joyful moment you get when you move your body, you know, and even if like just listening to the tune and a gentle sway. When I do intuitive movement in my membership, I always invite my clients to just move in whatever way feels good. So, like sometimes they might be just shaking the body, shaking things off. They might be jumping around, they might be dancing, they might be swaying. It's just whatever feels good. So, is movement your thing? Is movement what you are missing to give you that joy boost, to give you that, you know, I'm in the day I'm supposed to be in, not next week, next month, next year, or something that happened like last year, the year before, right? Which we can easily get caught up in. Another great way for us to like really come back to ourselves, to come back to that grounded, like that that energy of like, it's okay, I'm safe, right? I'm safe, all is well. I'm safe, all is well, is intention, you know, and your intention can be those mantras. All is well. I am safe in my body. All is well. I am safe in my body. I'm always supported, you know, it can be something like that. Or think of like three things, one thing, five things that you are grateful for, you know, gratitude practice is such a beautiful resource. And recently, actually, we've done 21 days of gratitude in my membership, and it was absolutely beautiful. You know, I think so often we can overcomplicate the simplest of things. Gratitude doesn't have to be noisy. Gratitude doesn't have to be big. Gratitude doesn't have to be all singing, all dancing, just like joy, right? Just like joy. And this is where we can get a real disassociation from our relationship with joy, is we're expecting joy to be something that is like everything, but actually, joy is in all the tiny little pieces. And if we feel into gratitude, we invite ourselves to feel into more joy. You know, the more joy, the more gratitude, the more gratitude, more joy, more joy, more gratitude. It's a marriage, it's a synergy. They dance together. So, allowing ourselves to feel into a simple act, even just when you wake up in the morning and just in your bed, just think, just ask yourself, what do I feel grateful for right now? And it might be your cozy bed. It might be for waking up feeling just that little bit more refreshed. It might be for something you're looking forward to that day, you know, like whatever it is, just always allow it to be enough. And I think this is where we can get caught in the forward thinking, like patterns and behaviors and thoughts, and the reflection thoughts and patterns, because we are not feeling into like what is right here in front of us. You know, we can be grateful for the smallest things. You know, before recording, I moisturize with my moisturizer I have where I work, and that always fills me up, you know. So just allowing gratitude to like to be something that like comes into your life, and yeah, and see the shifts it makes, you know? So finding your thing for sure, but also finding things that are going to support you as well, that maybe you used to do and you've forgotten, or maybe you've been curious about and you would love to do more. Another beautiful way for us to come back home is, of course, laughter, right? Laughter, like literally, it gives me life. When I host a session with a collective of people, like we feed off each other's energy. So, Solo practice for sure is amazing. However, coming together in spaces where you get to laugh together is like, oh, it's like it's 10x. It's amazing. But don't underestimate what you can do yourself. And this is the thing with all of these joy hacks is like find the thing that feels good and play with the thing that maybe feels a stretch and notice what it can do for you. When we really intentionally laugh, when we choose laughter, when we decide to laugh, not for a reason, but just because, we are lowering our stress hormone cortisol. And as a result of our cortisol lowering, our nervous system feels more regulated and endorphins, our happy hormones, come out to play. It's just so beautiful. When we laugh collectively, oxytocin, which is the hormone of connection, right? Oxytocin comes out to play, and you feed off each other's energy around that. So, like, what can you find today in your life that can allow you to like feel into some laughter? Like, if laughter for no reason feels like a stretch, like, where can you seek it? Where can you find it? Who can you share a belly laugh with? Think about the people that instantly like light you up. Like, can you connect with them and share some laughter? And if you're open and willing, just share some laughter with yourself. So let's have a go right now. Let's do some laughter breaths. This is a beautiful thing, right? I say things to do with laughter now, particularly when it's an exercise like laughter breath, and my body responds because our brains are incredible. And this is what I think is so empowering is because of the neuroplasticity of our brains, we can rewire. So we can rewire thoughts, patterns, behaviors, beliefs through intention. So if you take a practice of laughing every day, you get to rewire your beliefs around laughter. You get to rewire your your view on joy, right? That joy isn't something over here that we wait for. It's something that we can have right here, right now. Okay. So let's take a big breath in and then just breathe out with laughter. Uh, take a big breath in, big exhale with laughter. And one more breath in and big juicy exhale. So notice how you feel now, right? Even if you didn't join in because maybe it felt a bit of a stretch, like, how do you feel listening to that laughter? Did your body respond? Did you feel like a little fizzy energy, a little flutter, a little like shift within? Honestly, like, laughter is such a game changing modality to like to bring into your life because it's here, it's innate, it's within us, it's just under layers. We already are this perfect, beautiful being inside, okay? But all we often see are our perfections, but our perfectness is that's probably not a word, is it? But our perfectness, because I like it, they are our perfect imperfections, right? Because like perfectionism is just blooming exhausting and not real, like really loving our perfectly imperfect selves for whoever they are in whatever way they be is a game changer for self love, self leadership, and self belief. And laughter has been like a really brilliant way for me to allow more of that in. So, if out of these juicy joy hacks I share, like laughter is the one you're like, "Ooh," you know, or maybe you've tried it and then you've stopped, right? Give yourself permission to give it a whirl and then to notice how it feels. Try it for 7 days and notice how it feels. You know, I think the biggest gift in all of this, with all of these reminders, are self connection. You know, what is it I need right now? How do I get to feel right now? You know, and asking ourselves in a really like dropping into the heart space way, you know, and if that feels like something you're not familiar with, it's to get ourselves out of the head. So maybe you connect your hand or your hands on your heart, let your eyelids float closed if that feels good, or have a soft stare and just deep breaths in and out. And then just asking yourself, you know, how do I get to feel today? What is it that I need today? You know, like, what's the most supportive thing I can do for myself right now? And all of this is that invitation of ownership. And so often, like we pass the ownership of how we feel to other people. The biggest gift, come back to yourself. That's how you get to lead yourself. This is how you get to love yourself even more. This is how you get to believe in what's possible. So, asking yourself, maybe it's some time of stillness, maybe it's moving your body and really shifting that energy through. Maybe it's tuning into some gratitude, your intention for the day. Maybe it's allowing some laughter and really feeling the energetic shift and rising of the energy that you desire instead, right? And above all of this, you know, it really is about like tuning in to your needs, you know, and your energy. Like, what energy do you want to bring to the world? Just asking ourselves, you know, like, how do I want to show up today? Who do I get to be today? You know, what's the energy that I get to ripple out to all those that I come into contact with and have conversations with, you know, by doing embodied practices that help us like shake off the shit that feels heavy and invite in what we would rather have instead. This is how we get to like live in that right here, right nowness, to have that grounded presence. It's not about like life being perfect and flawless and everything being all worked out. You know, I mean, probably nothing ever gets all worked out, right? That would be unrealistic of us to decide that because there's always more, right? So living in the now, living in that real grounded presence is how we get to breathe again. It's how we get to feel again. So, finding those practices that help us feel like that and making time for those, like every day, like just 5 minutes. Like, we all have 5 minutes. We can sell ourselves a story that we literally don't have 5 minutes, but we do. The trouble is when we're feeling, you know, less like ourselves, the inner narrative, that inner critic, that voice that like runs around your head just gets noisier and like tries to like pull you away from the things that you know would support you because like you're feeling depleted. You like maybe you really are like exhausted and feeling like, you know, a bit burnt out and unmotivated. So when you're in those energies, yes, it absolutely feels harder to bring yourself back. But honestly, just like choose one of them and notice how you feel, and then just repeat, repeat, repeat for 7 days. You know, it takes, I think it's about 6 weeks for us to embody a habit, but even just for 7 days, and notice how you feel, you know? Like it like honestly, you are your biggest gift. You are your best medicine. So finding the ways to serve your needs is how you get to just live, right? And feel alive. If you would love to have any of these tips in a really easy PDF, check out my show notes for 5 quick and juicy joy hacks. I really love to use it myself because, and I always share it with clients, because when we are feeling a little bit wonky, it can be really tricky for us to see what's going to support us. So, particularly if you're a visual person, having things up as a prompt or things easily available for us to go, okay, this is what I need right now. Yes, do the check in and ask, but having that prompt, honestly, it makes such a difference. So, check out the show notes, 5 quick and juicy joy hacks. And if you have love what I'd shared and you would love something to support something specific right now, please do reach out on Insta at Cat Googe Official. And I will give you like a personal reset that I think will absolutely help you step into whatever situation you want to step into and step away from the situation that is feeling less than easy. So if you're listening to these and you're like, yeah, but if there's a yeah, but drop me a message on Insta and I will guide you back into a way you can go a hell yes, right? Because the more we can be a hell yes for the things that are going to support us, the more we get to be a hell no for the things that don't support us. But that's a whole nother podcast episode, which is our boundaries, right? But honestly, getting clearer with the hell yes and really getting which really helps us get clear with a hell no. Oh, like it's liberating. It's liberating. So, gorgeous soul, it has been wonderful to share this episode with you. I have absolutely loved it. If you have loved this, I would love you to reach out and let me know like what your biggest insight, your biggest takeaway. And if you're loving the podcast so far, please do go and check out where you can leave a review and share it with your friends because ultimately we want all our loved ones to really be living their best life right here, right now, not something as a destinational piece that one day they might get there. So I cannot wait to share the rest of the series with you, lovely one. And in the meantime, sending all the love and yeah, do something today that puts a great big smile on your face.